Paso Fino horses are the main event at an international horse show in Ocala.
TV 20's Emma Delamo tells us why some guests are coming from out of town to see these animals.
They're wonderful horses. They will do anything for you.
Ann Ward began working with horses at 6 years old in Fairfield, Connecticut. After moving to Florida and contracting some physical problems, she was recommended by a horse owner to switch to a Paso Fino horse.
I love them and I love to see the shows, and that's how I learned in the beginning, was coming to the shows and watching and seeing how, because I didn't know anything about Paso Finos years ago.
Horse fans across the country travel to the World Equestrian Center this week to watch competitors participate in this year's Ocala Paso Fino Horse Association's Extravaganza International Show.
I've always been fascinated to hear about the Paso Finos. It just so happened we just looked online and saw that they were here.
Others grew up riding horses and competing, and the passion is still there. One woman and her daughter came from Citrus County to watch participants of all ages compete for a first-place ribbon.
Horses have always been a passion of mine, as well as my daughter's, so that's why we're here today. So it's just kind of fun to see the different types of horses, especially these little Paso Finos are pretty impressive.
For her, the show is worth the drive.
The horses are amazing, and they're just beautiful animals, and it's always fun just to spend an afternoon up here when they're here.
During the show, crowds sat and watched, cheering on their favorite horses as they were called up next. The Paso Fino Extravaganza International ends on Sunday. Reporting in Ocala, Emma Delamo, TV 20 News.